Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for our Hamilton Hangout on athletics and wellness here at Hamilton. My name is Jack Nivison. I'm one of the admission officers here. We're going to get started in just a few seconds, but we just want to give people time to be able to log on. But thank you again for joining us this evening and welcome. If you want to say where you're zooming in from around the world in the chat, you're welcome to do that. Always good to see where people are coming in from. Who's going to be that first one who does it, I think. Brooklyn, all right. Repping Brooklyn right off the bat. All right. Durham, North Carolina. Oh, that's Boston. All right, very cool. All right, Albany, New York. With math, Wisconsin. All right, we got people coming in from all over. That's great. Syracuse. All right, very close. Connecticut, New York. All right, wonderful. So we're going to get started now, but thank you very much for joining us again. Again, my name is Jack Nivison. I'm a senior assistant dean of admission here at Hamilton. I am also the liaison to our athletics department, which is why I'm here kind of doing our welcome here. First of all, we just want to congratulate our admitted students here. They're selected from the largest applicant pool in Hamilton's history, and you've accomplished so much. And we're really excited and hope that if you haven't ultimately chosen Hamilton yet, we hope that you end up joining our community. What's our goal for tonight? Our goal for tonight is learn a little bit more about the athletic and wellness opportunities here at Hamilton. This panel is going to cover information about our physical education courses, varsity athletics, club and intramural sports, our athletic and fitness facilities, and our wellness program. I'm here as kind of your introduction, and then I'll come back in a little bit here at the end here, but I want to introduce you to our moderator, who is Kenzie Burton, who is a senior here at Hamilton. She's a member of our women's swimming and diving team. She's also a senior admission fellow in our office. So you might have had an interview with her or asked her some questions on the website. We know that she will do a great job facilitating questions and jumping in for now to answer a few about herself. So Kenzie, if you want to take it away and introduce yourself, and we will I will see you all a little bit later, but have a great conversation.
Yeah, hi. All right, I'll start by introducing myself, as Jack said, and then I will pass the virtual mic to my fellow panelists. So I'm Kenzie, I'm a senior. I'm from Oakland, Maine, and I'm a psychology major with a sociology minor. I'm involved in the swim team, obviously, as Jack said, and I also am part of the Center for Intersectional Feminism on campus, and Minds for Change, which is a mental health organization on campus. And I'll pass it on to John D. and Missy next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Missy Mariano. I'm the head field hockey coach here at Hamilton. I'm also an assistant professor of physical education as well. Oh, favorite part of my job. Favorite part of my job, honestly, is interacting with a lot of different students across campus. I love spending time with my team, love sitting after practice, chatting, getting to know them, see them grow through the years. And then also I teach classes here at Hamilton as well. And I love getting to know the students in my classes, just kind of getting to know them more, seeing them throughout the years after they're in classes, or having them a second time in another class as well. And I'll go to John.
Got it. Thank you, Missy. Hi, everyone. I'm John Hind. I'm the Director of Athletics and Physical Education here at the college. I'm actually a Hamilton graduate as well, 1980. I double majored back then in mathematics and economics, played on sports teams and participated in a lot of different activities on campus. And since some of you have signed into the chat, I've got to give a shout out to my hometown folks in Syracuse, New York. Dee, you're up.
All right, thanks, John. Hi, everyone. My name's Deidre Pearson. Short nickname is Dee. I'm the Associate Athletics Director with Hamilton College in the Athletics Department, as well as an Associate Professor in the Physical Education Department. I serve a couple of other roles as the Senior Women Administrator, but for purposes of tonight, I'm here to hopefully answer any and all questions you have as best I can about just overall wellness, fitness, and some of the offerings that we have in our Physical Education Department. I'm a former student athlete, not from Hamilton, like John, yay, but definitely can relate to a lot of the concerns and questions student athletes have. So I'm happy to be here and happy to answer questions. Favorite part of Hamilton is actually watching a student discover a new sport or a new activity they thought they would never try, and then leave 4 years later loving that activity. So that's my favorite part of Hamilton so far. And I think, am I passing this back to Kenzie?
Yeah, now it's going to Corey. Corey, if you just want to introduce your name, class, your hometown, major, minor, such.
Yeah, my name's Corey Jones. I'm a junior, so a rising senior for next year. I'm majoring in biochemistry with a minor in classical studies, and I'm on the football and track team here. I'm a part of a few clubs and organizations and way too many intramural teams.
Yeah, awesome. All right. So we pulled together some questions on our own for the panelists tonight, but please feel free to add some more in the Q&A. We'll do our best to answer them, and we also have some more admissions officers in the background happy to answer them as well. If we end up not getting to your question, please submit them to admission@hamilton.edu. We're happy to answer them another time. So just a quick start, our questions are broken up to the following categories: general wellness and fitness, varsity athletics, intramural and club sports, and then some fun at the end. So please stay with us, and we'll try to get to all the topics. So to start off, we're just gonna start with general wellness and fitness. So John, I don't know if you want to kind of speak to the philosophy toward health and wellness and fitness at our school.
Yes, thank you, Kenzie. We are strong supporters and advocates for general fitness and health on campus. We want all of our students to be involved in our programming, and everyone is to some degree, because we have mandatory physical education programming, not extensive, but activity. They're all of our activity classes in our physical education program geared toward you being involved in some capacity in fitness. Our intercollegiate program encompasses about 1/3 of our student body. When you add in our 17 club sports, we're up in the 55% range. When you add in intramurals and recreation, we're up over 75, closer to 80%. And then, of course, when you add in the physical education, we're at 100% of first years and most of our sophomores who are still finishing up. And then the junior and senior stragglers who are still trying to catch up with a few of their physical education activity classes that they haven't yet taken. So we have a vibrant, active community. Our fitness center, all of our facilities are available for all students. Obviously, there are some groups who take priority at certain times for facilities. Kenzie's on here. So for example, you can't expect to go recreational swim probably at 5 o'clock during the winter. You'd find Kenzie and her teammates in the pool at that point, but the pool's open a whole lot of other hours, as is our fitness center. You can go and do anything you want in the field house, in the indoor turf building. You can go and play squash or racquetball, and certainly all of our outdoor athletic facilities are open. So our entire community is available for everyone, and we love everyone participating.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Dee, I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to add to our overall philosophy.
I just would like to add that the overall fitness and mindset around fitness is that we want you to try activities so that you become a lifelong participant in an activity. And I think that philosophy speaks to just being an overall healthy person. You're going to come to school, you're going to study hard, but we also want you to be happy in what you're doing. And trying a new sport, trying a new activity could certainly, you can use that and continue performing and engaging in that activity throughout the rest of your life. So philosophy is to just try stuff and engage.
Absolutely. I feel like as a student, I can totally relate to that. We are so passionate about, I think, just getting involved in new things. There are always people working out in the health center or the wellness center. I don't know why I know, and doing different things. Like I've always wanted to try rock climbing, and we have a really cool rock wall that we can definitely get involved in. It's like 3 stories tall or something like that. It's crazy. Started trying erging. So lots of different things. And it's with the physical education program that John mentioned. I definitely tried out new things and got to go to a bunch of different classes, which were really cool. We have everything from like bocce ball to spike ball to running and weightlifting. So it's definitely really awesome to get, another experience in. Corey, I don't know if you have any other tips or fun from student perspective.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think it's really cool because we have opportunities that range all the way from, just going out and working out in a real gym with, like weight and equipment, all the way out to the facilities we have outside where people play soccer and football, lacrosse, spike ball, frisbee, and then further beyond that, where, our facilities extend to places where you can go out to the Glen and hike and go up trails and, get outside and be a part of nature. So it's a really diverse campus, and I think we have a lot of things that you can do here that encompasses like taking care of your body and having a healthy mind and being a student as well.
Absolutely. And Corey just mentioned a lot of them, but we have so many different facilities available to students. John, do you want to mention just any other specifics that we have?
Just pretty much, if you can think of it, we probably have it. We have, indoors, just cutting across, we have the fitness center, we have the gymnasium, we have indoor golf center, we have the indoor driving range and putting area rather. We have erg room, we have hockey rink, we have the indoor field house, we have squash courts, we have racquetball courts, we have an indoor turf facility. Outside, we have fields for everybody, from special surface for field hockey. Give you a shout out, Missy. To more used athletics, synthetic surfaces, if you will. We have baseball, softball. We have it all. And if you figure out something you want to play and we don't have the equipment for it, we probably will find it so that you can play it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like building off that, one of my favorite things is that we have an outdoor house too. So our Glen house has, Corey mentioned the Glen, so you can go walk in, but they also have bikes and trying to think skis for in the winter and hiking materials, all of that stuff. So if you like getting outdoors, like that's also an option, considering we're pretty close to the Adirondack Mountains. They're not right next to us, but if you take a jitney and drive for 2 hours, you'll eventually hit it. Which is pretty fun and a good way to get involved, especially as it's getting beautiful out. It was 70 degrees here today, which was lovely. And then we've kind of gotten into a little bit about the wellness classes, but Dee, I don't know if you want to touch on the other options and services and classes that we have.
Sure, happy to. And I think Missy can kind of chime in on one area. A key focus for us, not only with the wellness programming, but also in our physical education area, is providing mental health and wellness, just an overall general understanding of what that would mean for a student athlete. For example, first years, it's great to come in and have some groundwork where you have some idea of how to get through your day. So study habits, all of those things are related to academics, but then how can you function throughout your day in terms of good nutrition, good sleep? And again, I'll pass the baton over to Missy because she actually teaches a mental health and wellness class. But on top of that, we have other opportunities that I believe fall in that area of mental health and wellness, in that we offer spin outside of the physical education classes. We offer like noontime spin class, noontime yoga class. Those things are in addition to the existing programming that we have, that not only do our student athletes take advantage of, but I know our staff and faculty and the overall community take advantage of. So the overall sense on campus is we want to promote a healthy lifestyle, excellent mindset around mental health and wellness. So I'll pass the baton over to Missy. Maybe you can cover some of those topics you actually teach. So
yeah, I've been recently fortunate to kind of in the last 2 years take a class called mental health and wellness, and actually did it online, like through some of the pandemic. And I think hopefully, it was a struggle for everybody, and I hope that helped some people through that time period a little bit more. But basically through the mental health and wellness class, which is a PE class, mostly first years and sophomores are taking it, but we cover a lot of different topics, and everything from empathy to goal setting. We talk about nutrition, hydration. We talk about self-care, all the ways that people can kind of, be a little bit more well-rounded. We talk about sleep, things that will really contribute to how people are living their everyday life. And stuff that you can't necessarily learn in an academic class, but something that's going to help you with your academic class, or help you with your athletics, or help you with the other things in life, keeping them well balanced too.
Absolutely. And Missy, jumping right back into you, what are Hamilton's physical education requirements? And can you provide any other information about other courses besides that amazing class that you just described?
Sure, yeah. Sure. So we require 3 PE classes for each student, and there's a huge range of courses that you can take. I mean, anything that you might be interested in, from, let's see, skating to golf to tennis. Rock climbing is very popular, fitness, toning. And I really try to encourage people to take a range of things and to learn a new skill that they haven't done before. You know, especially even my own student athletes, and like take something you've never done, because you might find this like true love and true passion for something that you haven't ever explored. And then also for students who may not have a lot of experience, like with fitness, like a general fitness course or a toning course or a free weights course really gives them that introduction to the fitness facilities. You know, and I love seeing students sometimes that I've had during their first year, you know, working out in the gym as a junior or senior, and seeing like, you know, that, you know, introduction really helped them kind of maintain that throughout their 4 years too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Corey, what classes did you take for your PE requirement?
Yeah, so being a dual sport athlete, I'm exempt from 2 of those credits, but for the one that I did need, I ended up taking a course on bocce ball my freshman year, and I had never heard of bocce ball until I came to Hamilton, so that was pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to remember. I also, so if you do a varsity sport, you get exempt from 1, or I guess for Corey, 2 of your PE classes. I unfortunately was only exempt from 1, but that meant I got to try out 2 other things. And one of them was a dynamic fitness class, which is not super, it's fun, but you're with your friends doing things super involved. We did like running and a lot of different like HIIT workouts, which was definitely fun to do at 7 a.m. But it was cool to get involved with other students who were interested in learning that stuff, even though it might not have been my cup of tea. And then my second class, I absolutely loved. It was just a wellness class. And so we learned about sleeping and nutrition in the dining hall, and just like mental wellness, as we kind of mentioned. And that was definitely a little bit more up my alley, but it was super fun to try out a bunch of different things and get involved with that. So I think now, we have a question from the audience. Sorry.
Kenzie, just one other thing, if I could add it, is all of our athletic staff. So it's all of our coaches who are teaching our physical education programming. So, you know, these are people who work on a daily basis, a professional basis, on activity, fitness, and well-being and exercise. So all of our classes are taught by our staff. All of our head coaches are all members of the Hamilton faculty.
Yeah, and that's definitely like, that's a great point, John. It's one of the best parts. I'm obviously involved in athletics, but I got to get to know other coaches that I might not have met just swimming, because I'm with my swim coach a lot of the time, but I got to meet other coaches and kind of get to know them, which was really cool. And then we have a question from the audience, which says, our fitness center has 2 separate floors for varsity and non-varsity athletes. So is there room for everyone? Is there any difference between these floors, and is the gym open 24/7? So the difference between the 2 floors is just that the upstairs room is for varsity athletes only, but the biggest part of the fitness center is actually open to everyone. And I actually spend a lot of my time down there. There's a cardio room. So outside of season, I love to walk on the treadmill or go biking. But besides that, that's like the main difference, I'd say. And upstairs, there's also a multi-purpose room, which everyone can go to and do abs or yoga or spinning. And I do not believe it's open 24/7, but it's open a lot of the hours you'd be wanting to go. I think it opens at like 6 a.m. and closes at 9. I don't know if that's right, John.
11.
Closes at 11?
Yep.
Even better. So if you're a late night workout at night, then you could definitely do that. I didn't even know, because the latest I've ever worked out is 9, but I guess if that's your thing, you can go almost till midnight.
You know, Kenzie, it's funny you comment about that, because I was convinced there was no need to have the fitness center open that late. So we conducted a study to see how active, what the active use was of the building from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. And when Dave Thompson, who was then directing the facility, came back to me and told me the use numbers, I was shocked. but the use numbers drove us to stay open until 11. So
That's crazy.
there are a lot of you out there on this Zoom probably who like to work out late.
Hey, I'm an early bird lifter, so I get it. I like to be there right when it starts. So I guess I can appreciate the other end of things.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, getting into varsity athletics. John, like how are the athletic seasons going this year?
They're going well, we're not immune to what everyone else is dealing with. And that of course is working around COVID with all the different policies and procedures and testing. But we're figuring it out, and we're much more active now than we were. We've gone from the year and a half ago when we were shut down from competition to we then started with smaller, reduced competition schedules, and now we're finally back to what I would consider really close to normal. But yeah, we're very, very active. We have teams all over the place on all of our facilities. I'm actually going to dive in before I turn it to the other three to talk. Well, actually you too, because you're an intercollegiate athlete. So before I turn it to the four of you, I forgot to answer, but earlier the question to start was, what's your favorite thing to do at Hamilton? My favorite thing, believe it or not, is watching our Hamilton teams play on the road. I go to a lot of our away games, and I look for certain things that I hope that our teams exemplify when they're playing on the road. You find out a lot when you're playing under duress. You learn more about human behavior when you're on the road and in some hostile environment than you are in your own backyard. So my favorite thing is getting in my car and driving to away games and watching student athletes play.
Yeah, absolutely. I love watching sports. I tend to be on campus when I do it because I'm not driving, but it's one of the best parts of being on campus, especially with athletics going again almost to normal, as you said. Corey, a big question is how you manage to balance academics, athletics, and other commitments on campus. You mentioned that you're involved in 2 sports as well as other stuff. So do you feel like you're able to participate in all of that stuff while also being an athlete?
Yeah, I feel like I really don't struggle with balancing things in the sense of figuring out how I'm going to do it. I think obviously it's very hard when you want to take on a lot of responsibilities, whether that be 2 sports or taking 5 classes while you're here, or being in a lot of clubs or intramural sports. But I think the thing is that the adults and the staff and the coaches here are like really ready to work with you and willing as well. They understand that you're here to be a student first, and what I mean, they're always willing to give you like all the help you need, whether that's finding somebody to talk to if you're struggling with classes, getting the help that you need, or being a one-on-one person if you feel like you need somebody to speak to. But yeah, I feel like I really have all the resources that I need to be able to participate in all the things I want and not feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, and like speaking off my experience, I feel very similarly to Corey, and I think most student athletes here at Hamilton would. Your coaches are really there to help you do the best that you can in your personal life, your academic life, and also your athletic life. You don't just kind of end after practice. It's kind of a whole well-rounded experience. And building off that, you have your teammates who are absolutely there to help you. I always will remember my freshman year going to like a senior who majored in psych when I was taking my psych courses. And he would just help me every time I had any question. And it really was just great knowing that you have that built-in support system to kind of help you get through that experience. But it's definitely possible. And like Corey said, like a lot of us are involved in stuff outside of athletics, and it definitely doesn't just end at being an athlete or just being a student. So kind of similarly, but Missy, do you want to speak at all to like what you feel like the dynamics are between the athletes and the rest of the student body as you've been, a physical education teacher and everything?
Yeah, I mean, looking at it in general, and just using my own team as an example, I think, especially, at small liberal arts Division III, it's, so many of our athletes are involved in so many facets on campus. And I think that really creates a good dynamic, across the entire student body. Just my team as an example, I have dual sport athletes on my team, people who do theater, a cappella, president of the Powder Club. It really runs the gamut. I have a bunch of our EMTs on campus. And so they have friends in those facets as well. Like I'm very glad that my team is very close, but they also support each other in other endeavors. And, even into their, later years in college, sometimes they'll live with another athlete and then someone who may play a club sport or someone who doesn't necessarily play a sport. So I think that it's really a good relationship, throughout the student population.
Yeah, Corey, what would your take on it be?
Excuse me, what am I addressing?
Oh, just how do you think like the dynamics are between like student athletes and just regular student body?
Oh, yeah. I feel like everybody kind of just melds together. I feel like the community is exactly that. It's community, being an athlete, I don't feel much different when I sit down in any of my classes, whether it's STEM or, something related to philosophy or anthropology, like just another student. And I feel like we have a really like well-rounded student body. Like everybody's kind of your friend. You see a lot of faces all the time that are like the same people you'll see when you go to eat or when you're passing them and you're walking around campus.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just building off what Missy and Coria said, like it's definitely not, if you're an athlete, you're not with the rest of the student body. I've lived with such a wide variety of non-athletes and also athletes, and also just some friends with people who are both. So yeah, it's definitely like you all meld together, like Corey says. That's like a perfect way to say it. But as John mentioned, where you're able to have spectators and get kind of back to normal. And Dee, like how has it felt to have spectators back for events, and is their good school spirit here at Hamilton?
Actually, that's a great question, because I think the first thing that comes to mind is one, this student population, the student body as a whole are really, really excited to be watching games, let alone the student athletes participating. So it's been really nice to have spectators back. But I also recognize something, and this probably took place in the fall, but I really noticed it during the winter. We had it was a pivotal moment. I'm going to call it that. I saw it a little bit with some of the soccer games we saw earlier in the fall, but something happened with the student body during a men's basketball game. I think it was really close. It might have been Amherst and us. Sorry, I don't recall the game, the team exactly, but we won on a tip-in, like last minute, shot, and one of our players just tipped the ball in, and we won either by 1 or 2, whichever. And the entire student body just erupted in joy. Like really, it just felt like a release of, okay, it's been tough the last year and a half or 18 months. And, and right after that, as people were leaving and super excited, it was great. So sorry for the long story, but I just, that permeated through into finishing off the winter with other winter sports. Like those kids would then file right into the hockey game and watch the end of our hockey games, and that energy just kept going. And so whether we won or lost thereafter, we still had that fervor, if I could name it, that's what it felt like. So long-winded answer to say it felt good to have spectators, despite some of the mask wearing for a while. We got the ability to not wear them for a little while, but now they're back on. Despite all of that, people are very excited to be back watching games. So
yeah, absolutely. I would agree. We only got one swim meet, I think it was, with spectators, which was like the best meet ever. And our NESCACs was luckily able to have spectators again, which was just crazy because we hadn't had that big of a meet with spectators in 2 years. So it's definitely been different as an athlete, but also like going to cheer on my friends since we didn't get to have that opportunity before. Corey, have you had an experience yet with spectators?
Yeah, it's really good to be able to have spectators again. I think first, just during football season, once we started playing again, it was good to see the crowd, fill up the stands on Stu Ben. And I mean, our photographer for the school, Josh McKee, it's like really cool photos. So once you're playing and you're in the game, you really don't get to pay attention to the spectators and you hear the noise, but like, it's really cool to see some of your best friends and your peers out there, wearing their blue and wearing their Hamilton gear and all the different funky outfits, just having a good time. And it's good to just have that feeling. And I mean, even for a sport like track where all we're doing is running, we still get a good crowd to go stand up on Griffin Road and look down at the track and bring signs and cheer. So I think we have really good involvement, and it's very fun to be a part of as a competitor, and especially as a spectator as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I still remember going to watch football games. Oh, John, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on 2 things both related to Spectators. As a swimmer, you'll appreciate one of them. I thought it was incredibly creative that you guys did those. So folks, when we were shut down and weren't allowing spectators, when you went in the pool, they had life-size cardboard cutouts of all the parents of the swimmers. And so the first time I went in there and I looked, and they had all the fans in the swimming pool in the stands, and it was I then learned that it was giant life-size cardboard cutouts of all of the swimmers' parents. So that was excellent. But to Corey's point about how everybody on the campus just kind of meshes together, and using Dee's example of basketball, there have been several basketball games where we love to have our different dance teams from campus come and be at the basketball games and perform. So they bring a whole different friend group who might not have ever even been to a basketball game, but they want to come watch their friends perform. And so it just becomes a campus entertainment event, if you will. We're still focused, obviously, as the folks who work in intercollegiate athletics, we're still focused on the intercollegiate athletic aspect, but we also acknowledge that we love when a cappella comes and sings the national anthem for our events, or when our dance teams come and want to perform at our events. We want everyone to be a part of the event. We're a small community, and we love the more people who are part of it, the better it is for everyone.
Absolutely. I love watching the dance team and Heat perform. It's really cool to see what they can do. But moving on a little bit, like Missy, a lot of questions about walk-ons for varsity sports and how that process works. Do we allow them from a coach? Like, what's your perspective?
Yeah, yes, short answer, but big answer is if you're interested in playing a varsity sport, number one thing is contact that coach. All our emails are on the website. Our emails, our assistant coaches' emails are there. Please get in contact with us if that's something that you haven't been in contact with us about yet, if that's something that you're interested in, and talk about what the walk-on process is. Talk about that, what that would look like. Is it a few day tryout, or how would that work? Or if you have film to send along and the coach can help, take a look at it. But the biggest thing is really getting in touch with that respective coach and having a conversation with them. And our coaches are wonderful. They'll get back to you. They'll talk to you about it more, help answer your questions too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great answer. I know lots of people who have walked into the swim team, and also lots of other teams. So definitely an opportunity to do that. And getting in touch with the coaches is definitely the best plan. They're helpful in everything. As a recruited athlete, they help me through so many different processes and just making my decision on where to go. So I definitely would second that. And then D, in addition to like community service and, participating in a sport for our community, our varsity athletic teams involved with diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives through Hamilton and the NESCAC.
Yes, our groups on campus, we have a NESCAC specific group that we have a representative that is part of that group, and that person then communicates additional programming for the institution itself. I serve as the NCAA ADID, which is the Athletics, Diversity, and Inclusion designee. So I work hand in hand as a liaison with our group on campus to bring about any NCAA initiatives. So this year in October, we had a huge DEI initiative. The students went around and addressed three key not concerns, but focus or themes. You're shaking your head, so I think you remember the initiative. It was great participation from our student athletes. One was, finding your voice. What does belonging look like? And the themes were great, and the participation was fabulous. So the students are really active with that. We're actually in the middle of our the mental health and wellness, though it's not specific to DEI, it's definitely covers the inclusion piece for people so that they are not feeling alone or isolated and not feeling having the sense of not belonging. This week is really important, just as last week. Last week was, D3, why Division 3, and that was a great push for just why Hamilton and why D3. And so we have a really strong participation from the student athletes. They like to go around and what's it look like in the day in the life of a Continental, both in season, out season. That was last week. And this week, we've got several opportunities where kids can participate with some of the mental health programming that we have. So I think yesterday was, go to a specific, our fitness center. We had a bulletin board, and it was, if you're feeling any type of way, as they say, I'm using the student athlete verbiage here. If you're feeling some type of way, or if you're feeling something in relation to the uncertainty around COVID, put it on a Post-it note and share it. It's entirely anonymous. Obviously, if you're with your friend, they'll see you write it. But it was a great effort just to provide an opportunity for people to reach out, share their thoughts, and for others to see what other people are dealing with. So I could go on about a lot of other initiatives, but those are some of the things we're doing on campus, and it's some great effort. There's more to do, of course, but I think the student athletes are really engaged with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember a lot of the ones you're talking about as I've been nodding along. And speaking of the community service, it was actually NESCAC Day of Service on Saturday. So all the teams got out into the community and worked on different projects around Utica and New Hartford and Clinton, which was a really exciting day. I know everyone gets really excited about it every year. So that was awesome to see everyone out there doing that. And then John, just what are some of the support and resources for varsity athletes, such as the athletic trainers or equipment?
Sure. So, from a support standpoint, we have our full staff athletic trainers who will do both proactive and reactive work with our student athletes, i.e. do the taping and necessary stretching, et cetera, that you need to do on the front end. And if you're injured, working you all the way through rehab. We have extensive contacts with medical professionals throughout the community. When something has gone awry that takes more than our athletic training staff, we have a full-time orthopedic surgeon who works with us, I should say. He doesn't work for us. We work more for him. But he's involved and knows what's going on with our student athletes. We have the full equipment room, which takes care of all the laundry needs and different equipment needs that all of the athletes need. We have our fully staffed sports information office. Corey talked about our photographer. He ties together with our sports information office. And then, of course, we talk all the time about being representative of the community as a whole. So we are tightly networked with all of student affairs and with the counseling center and with the health center. And certainly when we learn of or are aware of any student who is in any type of duress, we know the people to go to immediately on campus, who to reach out to get support for those young people.
Yeah, absolutely. Missy, any other support or equipment, you already went over that, but any other support systems you can think of? I'm trying to list them all. You're muted, actually, sorry.
I feel like our athletes are truly and around campus are very well taken care of. Our training staff is phenomenal. If somebody gets hurt at practice, our orthopedic, we can actually go right to him. They have office hours in the evenings when our practices take place. So if someone gets injured on the field, they're seen then, which is a rarity, so that's really nice. And equipment wise, our teams, it's just representative of field hockey. We have the sticks that we need, the goalkeeping equipment, the cold weather gear for the end of the season when it gets chilly. The teams are outfitted really well and, very well supported all around.
Yeah, absolutely. As an athlete, I feel very supported. I've spent lots of hours in the trainer's room, both for preventative care, but also when I've gotten an injury, and they have everything. We ice bath, heat bath, stim treatments, Mark Pro, like pretty much anything, Theraguns, like anything you can think of, you're definitely well taken care of with our training staff. And then we have a question from the audience, and I don't know if John, D, or Missy, you can probably answer this, but what is your protocol for suspected head injuries and concussions?
Sure, I can touch on it, and then any of the others can chime in if they've had real life examples of it. I've been fortunate not to, but we do baseline concussion testing on every student athlete who comes into the college. So the first thing a varsity athlete, and actually most of our club sports, one of the first things they would do is a baseline test for us so that we have that established, so that when there is a head injury, we know the baseline of that individual. So yeah, we put baselines in place for everyone. We have a strict return to, we have a strict policy on concussions that we follow, that is followed closely by our athletic trainer in consultation with our campus health center, where students are monitored. And then as they test out, if you will, they first are returning to academic work, then eventually would return to athletic work. Missy could definitely address it as a coach who has undoubtedly had students who have been concussed, and she could talk absolutely about what it looks like on the ground in real life.
Yeah, there's a very strict protocol of what happens with a concussion, and all the coaches are very well aware and know what to do and are trained for when it happens. If the trainer happens not to be there at that given moment, we're pulling that student immediately. They're being tested. They're in the training room. If even if it's a Saturday, they're going in on a Sunday to figure out, what's going on. And then once they, each return to play protocol, whether it be through, cardio or et cetera, like each day builds on the next. And once you get, you're able to get back to practice, you feel very confident that that person is doing so safely. And the other thing on the front end of the concussion protocol is that our strength and conditioning coaches do a lot of work to prevent concussions. So our rate of concussions at Hamilton, like since our, strength and conditioning coaches have been here the last few years, has actually gone way down because of the work that those trainers or strength and conditioning coaches have been doing to kind of prevent that as well.
Absolutely, thank you. Definitely interesting to see. I've seen it from a student perspective, but those all make lots of sense. And then just getting into can varsity athletes study abroad? Missy, do you have any athletes who study abroad?
Yeah, we have 2 abroad right now, which is great. I'm so thrilled that they got to go. In January, I kept texting, is this happening? And they're there. They're having a fantastic time. We have one in England, one in Spain. Through the years, I've had numerous athletes study abroad, and I honestly, as a coach, encourage them to do so. Take advantage of everything the liberal arts has to offer. It's a time that you can never get back. And they have such great experiences while they're there. And some, if they are athletes or they're, club sports, you can go and play while you're abroad too. I've had a lot of students that go and they play pickup field hockey or, do other things that they may be interested in. So, but in general, we really want to see our athletes be able to take advantage of the abroad programs.
Yeah, absolutely. I have friends right now who are athletes. Actually, 2 of them are dual sports or dual season athletes, and they're in Spain and I think Copenhagen, and they're having a great time. So going abroad is definitely possible in lots of different sports. I've had so many friends, obviously with COVID a little bit less, but study abroad when possible. So definitely an opportunity that most coaches encourage, if not all, to go and take advantage of. So moving into club and intramural sports, as kind of John said, while about 25% of our students do a varsity sport, nearly 2/3 are involved when you include club or intramurals, which is a great statistic and awesome to see. But I guess just getting into what is the difference between club versus intramural and how significant is the commitment for each of them? Dee, do you have any insight into that?
Sure, I think John can speak a little more, but the commitment is significant in that there's so much interest. Kids that are students that want to stay active and be involved in a team competitive setting for the club sports in particular. They want that activity. They want to be able to travel. So a lot of our teams travel to actually compete in competitions. So they want that competitive spirit and play and also to the degree of finding like-minded people is what I'm getting at. So our club sports there's a significant commitment. Our intramural sports are comparable in that, and John, you can fill in some of the gaps I'm leaving, but there's a commitment to be active and be social. That's what I'd probably add to the conversation, that our students want to be want to find ways to connect, and that's a great opportunity for that. John, you could probably elaborate on just the level of the sheer breadth, of course, of our club sports. I'll let you fill in those gaps.
Sure, I'll definitely touch a little bit more, and then Corey, if you've participated, you should chime in too. Even as a dual sport intercollegiate athlete, my sense is you've probably done at least one thing recreationally or intramural wise. But the biggest difference with intramurals are basically competitive teams, but only playing other teams from our student body. So intramural sports, we set up our intramural committee sets up a structure of play where you get to compete, but you're competing with peers from Hamilton College. So we have, for example, right now we're in the middle of intramural basketball, and I know intramural basketball has 20 teams. So that gives you the sense of how many people. So you figure there's probably 8 to 10 people on each intramural basketball team. So times 20, that's probably 200 people right now, just alone participating in intramural basketball. And they play Sunday through Thursday night. The biggest difference is the club teams they play outside competition, but it's really for the most part for kids who are playing either sports that aren't intercollegiate, like ultimate frisbee or rugby or alpine skiing. I could go on. I won't go through all 17 of them, but they're either playing sports like that, or they're playing sports that mirror our intercollegiate teams and our intramural teams, like soccer, but they don't want that complete commitment that it takes to be an intercollegiate athlete, but they also don't want to play intramural soccer because they want to go play other schools. So that's where our club sport niche is, depending on whether it's a sport we just don't offer intercollegiately, or a sport we do offer intercollegiately, but they don't want to have that commitment to it. And then on top of that, we also have a lot of recreation activity that our intramural club sets up that aren't really weekly competitive teams, but like one-day events, like the 3-point shot contest, or the one-day cornhole contest, or things of that nature. Corey, I'll kind of turn it to you if you've been participating at all in anything or have friends who have.
Yeah, I think it's pretty exciting. I mean, we have a very wide range of things that you get to participate in, and even doing all the things that I do, I get a chance to participate in, like you said, John, in the 3-point contest, which is super popular with people on the football team. I'm personally on a couple of intramural basketball teams, but don't tell anybody. I'm not supposed to be on that many. I've gotten a chance to participate in club volleyball and club soccer. There's a fencing club, and those are probably some of the more popular ones that I've seen at least. There's a running club as well, and let me tell you, I run track, but I don't think I could be on the running club. I realize I don't like running much further than 100 meters. So there's a club, and there's intramural things for plenty of niches, and I think, you could try them all out. I'd say give them a try. They're for everybody, and they're super adaptable, and they want people to come, and they want people to get involved. And I think it's so much fun. I think we've got it all.
Yeah, the runners are always out there running all around campus. I can't imagine. I don't run much myself. I'm more of a swimmer. But speaking of that, they have like a club water polo team that's gotten pretty popular. That's pretty cool to watch them right after we get out of practice. They'll hop in to do their season, and it's crazy seeing even that. And I'm a swimmer. But like Corey said, there are a lot of super popular. I'd say I feel like soccer is pretty popular. Rugby is super popular. So definitely different things to get involved in, and something for everyone. I think the most important thing is that athletics, both at like a varsity club and intramural level, are all a place to like kind of find your people or meet new people and kind of find a place to belong. And I think athletics does a great part of kind of summing that up and making sure it's evident throughout campus, as you can see from all the amazing people that we've been chatting with today. We did get one last question from the audience. Maybe Dee or John can answer this. I'm not quite sure the answer myself. But do the varsity teams participate in sports psychology programs of any form? I'm not sure myself, but if you guys know the answer, please feel free to answer.
I can jump in, and if Dee has anything to add, or Missy, they can add. we have a few different teams who are involved in sports psychology. I was deeply involved in sports psychology when I coached at the institution I was at before I became an administrator. I believe a great deal in it, and I think that's one thing that I would like to explore and develop and entrench in our whole department even more so. As I said, we have a few teams who are using it, but as a department-wide initiative, we have not yet to this point. But it's certainly something that I would love to look into and consider.
I think the little piece I'd add to that is that I've in the past had, as a coach, I was able to put in not just sports psychology, but also with what's happening now. COVID has brought up the necessity of including wellness and understanding mental health concerns that are impacting student athletes. So part of that is now very much a dual, maybe even a trifecta, so to speak, but it's very much entwined, I guess is the word I'm looking for, in sports psychology today. So not only are we trying to find ways to get student athletes to be stronger, faster, better, and mentally tough, and all the things that are discussed in a lot of that sports psychology, there's also the mental health piece that is really, really important. So I'm very happy to, whatever, as programming continues to develop and develops that we want to put in the program, that piece will be really important. I don't know if Missy, you want to discuss some of the stuff you've covered with your team or not?
I mean, I think, I think we're lucky we have a lot of veteran coaches on staff. We have all full-time assistant coaches as well. So we're able to have the time to cover all aspects of athletics with the mental health piece, sports psychology piece. We've done different things, every single year. It's something I studied, extensively throughout my collegiate path and then into coaching as well. But I think that because we have the coaching staffs that we have the time to be able to do those things and explore those things a bit more. So we're lucky in that realm to be able to set those things up. And then in the past year, I think there has been a big shift towards mental health has always been a huge part of what we do. And I think it's even more apparent now how we can help people. Our team has, if you need to take a mental health day from practice, we have that in place. So every coach does things to kind of give an assist to their athletes and make sure they're okay. Our athletes know our phones are on every night. If they need us, if something is happening, we're there for them.
Absolutely.
If I could just jump back, because I'm always listening and learning myself. And as I was just listening to the others talk, I'm looking at the screen and I'm seeing that prior to all of you being at Hamilton in the capacities you are all in, we had a great Olympian who is deep into sports psychology, who we invited to campus to present on mental rehearsal and mental imagery. And it's a reminder to me, looking at the five of you, that we haven't had a person back in quite a while. And so thank you, whoever asked the question, because now you've tipped my head again. So now I'm thinking about it. So I think that will become part of our programming here because I'm a big believer in it and we probably need to revisit it.
Absolutely. Those are all great answers. I'm happy to hear them too. It's definitely not something I think of all the time as an athlete, but it's so important. And then just to finish it up before we bring Jack in, we're going to do a lightning round. So just everyone say one word to describe Hamilton students. I'll start with D.
I'm first. Yikes. I would say determined.
Missy.
I'd say caring.
Corey.
Yep, I'd go with altruistic.
John.
Involved.
Yeah, I'd say mine is motivated. Everyone's doing something. So now we're going to bring Jack back in to close out the night with one final question, but it was great chatting with you all.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, everybody, for all your answers. I certainly learned a lot about what we have for athletics and wellness here, and I hope that our our audience has been able to see how involved our faculty, staff, and students are with athletics and wellness here. And my last question of the night is, we've all been through this process, as students and coaches, and we all know the admissions process, especially when you get down to those final days, can be a little tough, a little stressful, as well as exciting. So I just want to kind of poll the group, what is one piece of advice that you would provide to a student at this stage of the process, deciding where to choose, for your next college. I won't make Dee go first this time, but I'll actually make Kenzie go first this time. So Kenzie, what is one piece of advice you'd give to a student at this stage in the process?
Yeah, absolutely. As someone who's going through the career search process, which is a little different, but feels similar at the same time, I'd say just what my parents always say, take a deep breath. Everything will happen the way it's supposed to eventually, and it will all work out. So just deep breaths, you'll get through it, and trust your gut.
Great. Corey, what piece of advice would you give?
Yeah, I'd probably say something pretty similar, just to be fearless. You really have nothing to lose. So go out there and get out there and send those applications.
Great. Missy.
Yeah, I'd say, find a place that feels like home, but also a place where you can kind of push beyond that too, and find new things to love and find new things to try.
Great. Thank you. Dee, what piece of advice would you give?
I would say don't be afraid to ask questions. And if you don't feel like you have the answer that you're really wanting, ask again, probe some more.
Yeah, great. And John?
Yeah, I would say don't be narrow in your selection. I always tell people, take the thing you love the most. And if all of a sudden you didn't have that, would you still love where you are? Pick based on where it just feels right for you in totality.
Great. Thank you all for those pieces of advice. That's great. It really encompasses everything that my colleagues and I try to say throughout this process. I usually highlight what Dee said, just ask as many questions as you can, because you don't have the answer. If you have a question, you don't have the answer until you ask it. So also just be true to yourselves during this process. Like I said, it can be stressful, but it's really exciting too. And you've achieved so much, and you will achieve so much coming up. But thank you to our panelists. Thank you to Kenzie as our moderator. Thank you to our admitted families for joining us tonight. We hope you've been able to learn a lot through this Hamilton Hangout. And we hope to see you on campus next year. Again, if we didn't get to your question, or if you have any others afterwards, please contact us at admission@hamilton.edu. Also, check out hamilton.edu/explore for future events, because we do have several more of these Hamilton Hangouts coming up. Stay safe, stay healthy wherever you are around the world, and we hope to see you on campus next year again. Thanks again for joining us. Take care.